Hi, guys. Thank you for joining us on July 11th. Boy, is travel safe? Well, it depends on who you talk to. I'm telling you, there have been so many cancellations. Ships, fights on ships. Um, it is a mess. Well, is it okay to travel? Is travel safe? Hmm. As long as you get to the airport at least 3 hours in advance, because people are missing flights because they're not clearing TSA in time. I hope that my guest arrives. He was, well, I'm not going to steal his thunder. He had a very interesting incident on his trip to Paris. But if you can get there 3 hours in advance, do. If you can stay near the airport, do. If you don't, be like a vlogger that I follow who lives in Hamburg, Germany, and plan to get there 3 hours in advance, and the Ubers were full. He said, I put in a request and I get something back in 2 or 3 minutes. And he said, not now. He said, I called them. I had a 7 a.m. pickup time. And at 6:30, I got a text saying the driver was unavailable. So he tried to do it again. Nope, nothing came up. He walked down to a train station because at the, around train stations, there's always taxis. And he went to 3 areas before he found a taxi. And nobody wanted to give him a ride because they didn't want a long ride all the way to the airport with one tip. There was a big music festival this weekend in Hamburg, Germany. And my friend went. And what the cabbies told him was that they would rather pick up 5 short trips from people who are still leaving the music festival than to take him for an airport ride, because that's a much longer trip. Whoops, sorry about that. So he did make it, but he had to bribe a cabbie and give him extra money. He said, I held out a $20 bill, and he said no. I held out 2 20s. He said yes, and he got to the airport and made it to his flight on time, and now he's in Minneapolis. So just one of the stories. The big thing that affected me was Air Canada had 56% of their flights canceled or delayed last week. And my guest, if he gets here, is going to share what happens in Montreal when 2 big international flights arrive and there's one person in customs. I'll tickle you with that. And then when Tim gets here, we'll go through that. Then I'm sure that you have heard about the fights. Well, Carnival made a very bold statement and said, if you are an initiator in fights on our cruise line, you will be banned from all Carnival sailings. And other cruise lines have talked about this because, there was a fight on Royal Caribbean last week as well. And they want to pull information, and if you mess up on one cruise line, you may not be able to get on any cruise line. Now, I know none of my passengers are the passengers who incite riots or fights, but that's pretty bold that they're making that statement. If you were the inciter in a fight, you can be banned from their sailings. All ships from now on. No second chances. That's what they're saying. That's pretty strong, but tell me if you agree. Would you like to see that enacted? Yes, I would like for them to be banned from cruising. No, I would not like to. Let me know. Then, oh my goodness, so much to tell you. I really want to tell Tim's story. I'm not sure he's going to make it here, but okay, we'll hold off a little bit more. I wanted to tell you what is going on with the airlines. So it wasn't just Air Canada this week. It is every carrier, every airline. I mean, I've seen some that were fully staffed. You know, they had 5 counter agents open and 5 counter agents were working. However, my client got to Paris and there was one Air Canada agent to service a check-in that was an international flight all the way to the US. That just doesn't make sense. When asked, they said that there had been a lot of sickness. There had been people who had called in sick, and it looks like the new strand of COVID is going to be potentially detrimental because the new strand is much more aggressive and it spreads more rapidly. Now, they say that the sickness, getting sick with the new COVID strand, is not nearly as bad as what maybe we've seen in the past. But I mean, I had it once. I don't want to have it again. Well, my friend Tim Peterson arrived, and we're going to bring him on. Hi. How are you?
There. I'm good. How are you
So
doing?
turn your volume up because I want people to hear you. And
Okay, here we go.
Tim was
All right.
part of that 56% on Air Canada this weekend. And I'll just let you take it from there. After a wonderful time in Paris, what?
Where do I start? Where do I start? So, yeah, there's a lot of logistical and just craziness involved in all of this. So, the first thing that I would comment on is that the customer service of Air Canada basically does not exist. It's a phone system, and you're literally on hold for hours. So Melinda was like, well, you have to go to the customer service desk in Paris and be able to take care of, any issues and things that we were trying to change some tickets. Melinda was being very hopeful, and I was trying to change things I should not have wanted to do, but I did, and it didn't work out. But anyway, so I go to the ticket area, and they have one person at the end that everyone said, talk to this woman. She was not a customer service rep. She was just the go-between, and she was literally on the same phone and dialing the same numbers that we were dialing. So if anyone had an issue, she had to call and wait an hour to 2 hours on hold to be able to help someone. So I experienced that twice. So all Air Canada needs to do is bring somebody in that can actually do the things that needs to be done for their people. So people were missing flights, not being able to do things, which is costing them money. So all of this, if it comes back to, oh, well, they don't have the money to do it. I saw thousands, if not tens of thousands of dollars being wasted on my entire trip that I was on. So that was the beginning. Coming back in, I flew through Montreal and then Toronto. And I said to some Canadians, if Montreal is the example of Canada, I'm sorry. I love that you guys are next to us and you're happy people, but I will never be back here and ever want to visit your country again. Probably not the best thing to do, but at that point, I had no sleep. I was a little irritable, and they were very lovely. And we ended up talking and joking afterwards, but I was just like, I never want to come back here. I don't see why anyone wants to live here if this is who you guys are. So the idiocy, oh my God, Melinda, where do I start? Okay, so we finally get in, we finally get tickets. We were delayed a day because of being on hold. We could not get on the flight. It had already gone. And so on my dime, I had to spend another night in Paris. I know that sounds like so too bad, right? And I did make the best of it. I found an amazing hotel. I went on to Priceline.com and I found something that it was amazing, and we had fun. But then, we have to go back to the airport and experience this whole thing again. And so We finally get into Montreal, and the lines for going through, you have to do a declaration and then go through customs.
Right.
But the problem is they had 2 security lines and like 3 people, and we're talking hundreds of travelers. So you're on one line upstairs, then you end up going downstairs. You have no idea what's downstairs. And I'm like, telling them I got to rush. Can I please go downstairs? Because they stopped me, they stopped me and made me wait. And I'm like, no, I'm going down with those people. Well, it didn't matter because there were, I just went into a line of hundreds of more people, and the people that were behind me ended up behind me, and they're like, yeah, a lot of that did. Okay, so here's where Air Canada could have saved thousands, and all they needed to do was send one rep, and they had reps down there, and they were asking what flight, where we were going, but then they never did anything about it. All they had to do was say, okay, who's got the flight to RDU? Who's got the flight to wherever? Who's got the flight to LA? Your flight takes off in 30 minutes. Let's get you through. That's all they had to do. Because the people in front of me, there was 2 hours before their flight. I saw my flight, it was going to be in 20 minutes. Then it got delayed. I'm like, okay, we can make it. It's been delayed 20 more minutes. Then it got delayed another 20 minutes. I'm like, yes, we can still make it. We can still make it. This line's going to move. And then we're holding the plane because there's those that are still going through immigration. So we're holding the plane for a few more minutes. I'm like, yes, we can still make it. No, we couldn't. But again, all they had to do is have someone down there prioritizing the people that needed to go through. And I'm talking hundreds and hundreds of people that would not have to have been rebooked. They did give me hotel and food vouchers. So I got 40 Canadian, whatever their dollars, Canadian dollars, and food. But that, the hotel, I'm sure was 100 or something a night, plus 40 Canadian dollars in food. They did that over and over and over again. So we finally, 3 hours going through that line. My fingers literally are sore. I work out. My fingers are sore from holding bags for hours upon hours. We get through that line. The thing that I don't understand, and this is just I guess a government or industry standard. We get off an international flight. We've been nowhere except the bathroom on our way to this next line. And we have to go through security, take off the shoes and do all the stuff. And I said to the guy, what could we possibly have, when could I have made a bomb? When could I have put anything in here that we are doing this again? And he's like, I understand. I'm just doing my job. And it's like the most ridiculous job that I have in the world because all of you guys, like, we never have anything because you guys always have all gone through security. And it wasn't like, they were all people with Canadian and American, USA, passports. It was, So we go, that was 2 people, 2 lines that we had to go through and finally get through. And we've missed our flight. So have hundreds of other people. So now the line for that is those 100 people that were downstairs. And Melinda's on the phone. I'm on the phone with customer service. And the customer service, I've always heard, okay, if you missed your flight, whatever, get on immediately because then you'll be ahead of all those people that are in line. Because, most airlines have customer service that actually can do something. Why I end up with reservations, and all she wants to do is sell me tickets. So now I need tickets immediately. So, okay, that'll be $2,900 for those 2 tickets. And I'm like, you know what you can do with those 2 tickets. You know where you can put those 2 tickets. So, so then they had to put us up. I said, I finally get to, it took a couple hours. Meanwhile, understand we have been traveling now for 20 hours. We left at 6 a.m. in Paris. The sun is setting in Canada. So we have been awake, minus the couple naps you get on a plane, which are always horrible. And it was, daytime. So it's not as good a sleep as when you do travel at night. And my daughter's fading. Like, she does not feel well. She's nauseous. Her nose is running. Her allergies are acting up. She feels like crap. And there's nothing for us to do. So I get the hotel voucher. I'm like, yes, we're going to a hotel. At that point, it's like 8 o'clock at night, I guess. So great. We can get to the hotel. We can get some sleep. Our tickets, tomorrow we have to be at the airport at 6 a.m. We'll be fine. I have to pick up my bag. I do travel heavy. I had checked in a bag. She did not. So the poor thing had to go down. Okay, we got to go get my bag. They tell me what carousel was. This now it's been like a couple hours since the flight had not dropped my bags off. Well, Linda, guess what? My bag wasn't there. So I see they have all the U.S. missed, all the missed flights that they would not have had to do if they had just done, with like simple logistics. Like you think that this was the first year they had opened up an airline. We've never done this before. We're going to try this out. It might not work. Bear with us. Like, no, it's an airline that's been doing, like, you don't have logistics. Okay. I digress. So there's Los Angeles, there's every airport, including RDU, little signs that someone hand wrote and had the bags were supposed to be sitting there. There's a sign for RDU and there's 0 bags there. I'm like, okay, someone either stole my bag or, it's on a different carousel. So there's at least 8 different carousels. And these are huge carousels. They're like, the ones at RDU or, it's like massive things. And there's suitcases everywhere. No one's checking. Like I could have just taken, you just need to start putting like what the sizes and measurements of the people are, and I'll just take someone else's bag. So I go into yet another line for claiming a bag. So I'm like, okay, I've got to claim. I'm assuming now it went all the way to RDU. So maybe they can tell me. So sure enough, they could pull up. She's like, no, it's here. She's like, it's in the back. They haven't brought it up yet. And she's like, if they don't bring that out in 10 minutes, I'm going to go back there and get it. I'm like, awesome. So now we're hitting like maybe 9 o'clock because it's taking a little time to get through that line. 30 minutes goes by. 45 minutes goes by. Again, my daughter is fading. Like she's like crying now. Like literally, she's like crying because she doesn't feel well. She just wants to go to sleep. And I cannot leave my bag there. Like it's like rule. I have to pick up my bag and get it out of the airport because I'm not really supposed to be there staying in their country. I'm supposed to be on another flight. So I have to get my bag. So I go back to the woman twice and she's like, oh, they haven't brought it out yet. I'm like, no, because you were going to go get it. And so then she brings it up once again and she said, oh, silly me. It wasn't carousel 3. It was carousel 8. Made it. I don't know why it's a carousel 8. It's a carousel 8. So I go over to carousel 8, which I've already walked. I've walked through this thing many times. Now we're 22 hours awake and been traveling. It was not at 8A. So I go back to her and she's like, oh, then they start announcing all those bags. They're going to bring them up from the back. Like, why could they not have done this before? This has been 3 hours now, 3 hours. And so bags came out and, I've made friends with people from, that were all over the world that are, US people looking for their bags. Like they got their bags. I'm like, okay, mine's going to come. It's going to come. It's going to come. And they got their bags. They're leaving. I'm like, now I'm just cursing them out because they get to go to the hotel and I'm still here with my crying daughter who's very upset. Finally, she comes out and says, look, we're going to find your bag. So she goes to 8A. It was at 8A, but they had like a different thing for oversized bags. And it had come out that, and there was like all this other stuff on top of it. And there was my bag. So now, Melinda, it's going on 11 or midnight, which means that's like 5 a.m., 6 a.m. in Paris, which is when we got up the day before. So we were literally moving for 24 hours. My daughter just like flopped on the bed and was out. And we had to get up at 5 a.m. now to get on the flight, hopefully to get on a flight. Like I had no idea what was going to happen. I want to get there early. Well, we didn't get to board on the next plane the next day because when the plane came in, apparently it turns over from being run by the engines, whatever, to it has to plug in and be electric. So when someone didn't plug in the plane, so it had gotten too hot and we had to wait 30, 45 minutes to board to leave because someone didn't plug in the freaking plane.
Gosh.
So when I tell you it's systematic. I mean, I don't know who to point the finger to. It's them not having customer service and understanding that if they had like this much customer service, they could have saved hundreds of thousands of dollars in the weekend, if not millions, because this is just, what else does that create? They got planes that don't have enough people on it. They have to create more flights. They're giving out vouchers. All these things are happening, and don't tell me it's money. And then but then there's airport things. We didn't get to the gate, and it was obvious that the pilot was annoyed. It's like, well, we can't go to the gate. We're ready to go to the gate, but we can't go to the gate because they don't have crew to bring us into the gate. He was like, here we go again. So I have a feeling he'll be now working with Delta or with another airline that knows how to move people properly. So I have told Melinda, do not book anyone with Air Canada ever again. I mean, if I don't know what the difference was in pricing with other tickets. Melinda did a great job of trying to find, the best price, but I would have gladly paid hundreds of dollars more to not use them. It happened. Actually, I did have my daughter's mother and their family they were traveling as well. Same thing with any Air Canada flight they had. They were canceled, no notification, no whatever. They get to the airport and the flight's canceled. So yeah, there's that. I did hear you mentioning something about COVID. All of that side of the family that was traveling with my daughter, all of them came home with COVID. They came home and all of them got COVID. So I don't know where they got it from. The only one that didn't get it was my daughter, who then was with me. So I'm thankful that she did not come to me sick, and Paris would have been her in bed, And so she was convinced that she was getting COVID because she had been surrounded by it, but she didn't. It was just, again, the exhaustion and allergies and all that. But yeah, all of them did it. Now, I had it in January, and so did she. So we're assuming that because we had it that recently, but I haven't even had any boosters because when I was going to get my booster, that weekend was sick. And then I haven't gotten the booster because I have supposedly, the antibodies. So that saved me. But yeah, the mask thing is, Air Canada was very strict about you had to have the mask on.
Right.
United was not. United,
Right.
there were no masks. I wore my mask. For most of the flight, it just, when you're on these long flights, it does get to be a little tedious, and I may have forgotten to put it back on a couple times. But Air Canada was still very much in the, reminding people to put their mask back up, after they were done. And so it's still happening. People are coming back, and it's more fatigue type COVID. It's not the hospitalization type thing. And the people that got it were all vaxxed, and I think they were boosted as well. So there is that. So be careful out there if you're traveling. So my advice is, in that travel bag, in your overnight bag that you take onto the plane, your carry-on, make sure you have a change of underwear. Make sure you have a change of clothes. Make sure all your toiletries are in there, because you may or may not have your bag, and you may or not ever, get to your destination when you think you're going to get there. I did not have that. Coming back, I'm like, oh, we're finally going to get on the plane. We're going to be fine. And at first I thought I wasn't going to get my bag, and I'm like, I didn't pack all that stuff in my bag this time. I guess, oh well. But then I got my whole suitcase eventually. So
Cool.
But
Well,
do that.
my title was Is Travel Safe? And there's so many stories just like yours, where people are getting to destinations and there's not enough people to get them checked in, to get them through baggage. To the TSA lines are horrid in some places. But your story about one person there to handle all of you guys trying to rebook you was crazy. So Tim called me, and we couldn't get anybody on the phone. No one wanted to add a reservation because I had booked Bryn's ticket separately. And so I had no problem changing her ticket in my system, but Tim couldn't get anybody to do anything. And so I got the third or fourth phone call to Air Canada that night. And she said, well, if you can hold it, I would just hold it and put his name on it, so there'll be a seat in his name. So is that what you guys used? Did you use the 5:15 a.m. flight?
No, we were on we didn't use that. It ended up being, well, they could get her on there, and so she was on there. They wanted to send her, and I'm like, no, you're not going to send her, because you guys do not have over. Yes, she's 16, she doesn't feel well, and you want me to jeopardize and have her in another airport and something happening, I don't end up leaving or something. So I said, no, you need to put us both on the same flight. So we were on the later flight. She was on that first flight, had her changed to the second flight. And so they did that. When I finally got to that woman, she was just like, it was like, she wasn't asking questions. She just like did what she needed to do. And I'm like, Air Canada needs 1,000 more of you. And she's like, I know, and I only wish they did. Because she actually was able to do, all these things that you would call and you normally from any other airline, maybe, I don't know, maybe it isn't.
It's getting worse and worse, honestly, because one of the bloggers that I watched today, he said his flight was delayed. I mean, there were something like 1,800 delays this weekend. His flight was delayed, and he was very concerned about getting to the next flight on time. And same thing, the people who processed reticketing or changing that line was another 2-hour line. So sending people from here to there, it would be okay if they had the resources and the staff to do what they need to do. But his was not Air Canada. He was on an American flight. So it's not just Air Canada. But when I read 56% of Air Canada's flights were canceled or delayed, man, there is a big challenge.
Yeah, it's we're business owners, so we understand. What aggravates me is, I didn't get a bailout for my businesses through all this. Through COVID, they got all kinds of money left and right. And, I understand they took a hit, but there were airlines that came through it. Like Delta was amazing. Like I flew all through COVID and went places, and Delta was still there. They were doing great fares. They were doing things, and I haven't flown them. I did a few months ago. But they did such an amazing job, and like they won my business. I will continue to do Delta. I've got my American Express tied to my Delta miles, and I am happy to use them. And I have been all Southwest or JetBlue, and like I always was Southwest, and and people are ready to travel now. And it's if this was a business that a small business, or how can they still be around is what I'm saying. Like, why do they keep getting a bailout? No, you should go out of business. Like, you deserve to go out of business because you do not know how to run your business. Like, you're pissing 56%. Over half of your flights aren't working, and you're this is not cool, and people depend on that. And this was my vacation. I have not taken a vacation in 6 years. I went to Paris with my other daughter 6 years ago. My other vacations are maybe 3 days in New York City with my daughter, which you don't get to, you're not calming down. You're not getting, like, it takes 3 days just to like forget that you're a business owner and turn off. Yeah. And so that hasn't happened. Or I'm going to a conference, and you've been to conferences. There's no downtime. It's like boom, 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 boom. Maybe you get a day on one end or the other. So this was a vacation where everything was shutting down, and getting there wasn't too bad. I was on the tarmac with United. It was a mechanical error. We were on tarmac or at the gate for over 2 hours before we took off. So that wasn't amazing. And when you're looking at a 8-hour flight, like when you're 2 hours from it at that point, you're like, we could have been here already. Because so that was aggravating. But they told us all along. They communicated with us, and then there were no more glitches. So it's you've got that time, and you want when both that travel things become this angst and angriness and horribleness, it's hard to like look back at that vacation. I mean, luckily I do have pictures. I'm like, okay, yeah, we did have fun. I can remind myself right now. All I can think about is 3 days of trying to do 9 hours of travel, 3 days, flights being canceled and not being able to be booked. And, most of it, Melinda, none of our flights were canceled. It was just the ineptness of them not being able to, quickly do what they needed to do and not having someone available on the phone. That is just ludicrous. I don't understand why, and then actually, Melinda, they at that same gate in Paris, that agent, she was telling me to call, and I would call, and it would literally hang up on me saying, we're too overbooked with calls. Try us later. I'm like, your system just hung up on me. I can't do anything, so I have to rely and wait for your call to go through. Finally, when she did get someone, she, then at that point she had like 10 people. She's like, okay, we're gonna go through 10 things that here, and she was able to help, but it just, she was literally, luckily she had been an hour on the phone holding already by the time I got up there, so it wasn't the full 2 hours. It's just it comes down to logistics, and you are running your business really badly, and I'm sure the government has bailed you out, but you should be a business going out, because you do not deserve to do this to people. You really shouldn't be able to, and I will be giving them a horrible review. I will be on Twitter hashtagging Air Canada, and just it's
Let me ask you a question. So here's what is best to do. I'm your travel agent, so you address the letter to me. You send one yourself, but send one to me, because I am your advocate, and it may not go through the same channels as the public making a complaint. So I do it both ways. But when you send I'm
hanging on Twitter. I'll do it, but then I'll do that one too. There's many ways you can, because it's just, I don't know. That's the thing. It's helplessness, because you don't know who to contact, who to talk to, because it's a freaking huge airline. Who do you talk to? But it's horrible that they're doing that to people. And there's families left and right there was one that never got their bags. They were in Greece and they never got their bags. And then he was in the same line with me, waiting 3 hours for his bags. Well, actually, he was only 2.5. He was one of the people I was cursing out, because he got his bags 30 minutes before
I hope he had travel insurance so he could recoup it.
Well, they never found those bags. It was funny. He was like, the bags that we just lost now and we don't have were the new bags that we bought and all the new clothes. So they're doing it double over, but they did get them. But wow. I mean, that's just a business that does not deserve to be in business. And it's their national airline, and it's horrible. Like I told those
even my Canadian friends, they say that they're saying the same thing. They're saying right now it is best not to travel from Canada if you've got to use Air Canada, because there's so many complications. Well, Tim, thank you for taking your time and sharing your story. I'm going to tell them about a couple unique cruise lines that we've touched on before, but I really do thank you.
Maybe that's going to be my next one. So we'll talk later. I need something to like decompress from all that. So thank you, Melinda. Thanks for giving me the opportunity. And right there.
You know what? We did all that, but then you didn't say who you are or what you do. Just tell them.
Okay. So real quick, I'm Tim Peterson. I have a company. It says right there, Dad Bod Warrior, dadbodwarrior.com. I help divorced and single dads regain their health and their fitness so they can become amazing role models for their kids and be able to feed their kids well. So learn how to eat, lose the weight, be able to take care of yourselves. And then also in the pandemic, I had the opportunity to buy a CrossFit. So I have a CrossFit gym in South Chapel Hill. So if you're looking to get fit, we've got a kids program, doing kids programs right now. Love having my kids. I've got kids losing weight and getting fit and active, and the parents doing the same thing, getting fit and active. I'm all about community fitness and helping families have amazing lives ahead of them. So that's what I do. And so look me up, Dad Bod Warrior, or CrossFit15501.com. Thank you, Melinda.
Cool. I didn't know you dealt with dads going through that type of situation. I'm a marketer, so find a niche and fill it. When you find a need, and we are women. If you wear, Manolo Blahniks, and were born in September and have red hair and like this kind of lipstick, there is a specific Facebook group for you. Dads, we've got like 2. That's true.
So that's what I'm here for, to help dads regain their health. So,
well, that sounds great. Well, if you have a really good guy, keep me in mind. I'm safe, single, and searching. Okay. We'll talk to you later,
You got
Tim.
it. All
Thanks so
right.
much.
Take care.
Bye
Bye-bye.
bye. Okay, guys. So I apologize, but it was a long story. It was so full of one thing after another after another. And many travelers are saying travel right now is just too chaotic. It is, it's a challenge. It's not just airlines, they're having these same challenges with rail service. They're having the same challenges with motor coach and touring. Um, they're having to put two people on there for the touring portions because of sickness. Um, I told you just a couple of weeks ago, Australia opened. It's time to go. Cruising is starting. Oh my goodness. The Australian government is going to rag this one because there's a huge outbreak of COVID on two cruise ships in Australia right now. So we're hoping they don't pull back because it's getting the season for us to go to Australia or New Zealand. Their our summer is their winter and their summer is our winter. So it's the in-between time, great time to go, good pricing. Okay, I promised you about Virgin and Margaritaville. And I would bet you money that that's why Kay and Dr. Eason are here, because Kay wanted to hear about this wild cruise company. So my buddy Tony does a cruise show, and he just got off the Scarlet Lady. So, oh my goodness, the things that he had to say. Well, first, it's a 30-year-old ship. It used to be a Costa ship, and Costa redid the ship, upfitted it to make the Costa Grand. And then when they got ready to get rid of it, the Paradise Cruises was one that would buy cruise ships that were old or, they were getting rid of, and they would run them. It's almost like a ferry system between West Palm Beach and Grand Bahama Island. And you can go over and you can stay. You could stay in an all-inclusive for 1 day, 2 days, 5 days, 10 days. And then when you got ready, you can come back. So it's usually booked as a package. I just confused the two of them. I'm so sorry. Here I am talking about Virgin, and then I skip over to you can change and go on Margaritaville. All right, we're going back to this is the bad thing about lives is you can't edit that part out. Okay, so we'll go back to Virgin. All right, so he said it's a 30-year-old ship. That's what took me to Margaritaville, because that's an old ship. The ship that he was on, Virgin Scarlet Ladies, is a brand new ship, and everything's red. And you might have heard me make some comments, because as people traveled and came back, they were saying how much more adult it was. They only allow adults. They have secret shows. They got rid of the kind of stage productions like many people are used to on cruise ships, and they've gone to interactive entertainment. So like one of the shows, you go and it's called the dance party, and there are no chairs at this show. Everybody stands up and they're trying to get everybody dancing. The stage actually moves from one part of where the stage normally would be it moves while dancers are on it, trying to encourage movement in people. They had lots of shows where they asked for volunteers. And even one of the guys that I watched said, we said we didn't want to do it. They get up there and then they asked us anyway. So it can make you feel uncomfortable. there are lots of people who cruise and they want to see all the activity, but they don't want to be forced into it. And depending on what ship and where you're going with Virgin Voyages, that could be a challenge. There were ages 20s, 20 somethings, because they have to be an adult, to people who were in their 70s. And it was inviting for all ages. Now, Tony is a big guy. Like, I don't know. He's a big guy. And he said the great part about it was there were no arms on the chairs. So it was very comfortable for him. Around the lobby area, there are bench seatings in most places. Even on the balcony, there were no arms on the chairs. And there were, let's say this is the balcony, there was a chair facing this way, a small table, and a chair facing this way. It's not like a regular balcony where you could go out and have a lounge chair and 2 other chairs. There just was not room. The cabin sizes are smaller, but technology, filled with technology. There's an iPad waiting for you inside of every cabin. It turns on your lights. It's your room controls for your AC. It has a movie selection on board. You can book activities on the same iPad. It has shows all of your reservations if you've booked an excursion through Virgin. Everything was there. But it was so weird about these secret parties because he said we were just sitting out on deck, and some guy comes up in a red suit and said, do you like magic? And he said, sure. And he said, well, here's an invitation to a secret party. And he was invited to more than one. So he went. Sure enough, only about 100 people there. I don't know why they do it this way. It's interesting. Another one of the secret parties were you meet at this one lounge and there were activities, some music, and then you went from there to another lounge and you followed each other. And I saw the video. There were only about 12 people. I don't know if this has after they had gone to a few lounges, but that's unique. There was also a late night. Let's see, what did they call it? It was very unique. There was a late night party, a DSA party. Don't sleep alone. And this was a late night adults only party. So, you didn't have to go. It was not the regular show in the evening, but out of curiosity, they went, and the lady stands up and says, I'm Dr. A. This is an interactive show. And so I'll be asking each of you to participate. Somebody starts walking around the room and they're giving away a package about this big that says DSA, don't sleep alone. And it's a condom. And they're handing them out to everyone there. A little more risque than I would be comfortable with. How about you? Tell me, none of you guys are saying anything. Dr. Eason, would that be something you guys would consider? Mary, I know you. No. Lisa, I know you. No. Wanda, I don't think you would either. But one of the first friends who went, their accessory pack, like you get shampoo, and sometimes there's a shaver there, a toothbrush, a little accessory pack. Their accessory pack had adult toys in it. Now, you have to be an adult, but boy, people who book this better know what they're booking. It's not the typical cruise, but that's what they're going for. They're going for not being typical. There were hammocks that hang on their balconies. All the balconies had hammocks. Tony was too big. He said, I pushed the weight limit, so didn't do it. But just think of how unique that would be. And they've gotten rid of the main dining hall, and instead they have all these venues that are beyond the buffet. And you go sit down at a table and you can see this food court venue. And The plus side of it is everything was very fresh. You know, they're not fixing 15 salmons and 15 roast beef and 15 of something else. And when dinner time comes, it's already plated and they're putting it out. This is all freshly cooked. So if you're a foodie, that was the biggest plus from everybody that I've spoken to or have talked to or heard or listened to who have been on Virgin so far. They have a stand-up show. They have a stage show. And one of their stage shows was simply all, it looked like people practicing circus acts. And there is a storyline that goes through it. And it's Romeo and Juliet. I guess you had to be there. Anyway, for us Southerners, it might be a little risque. The pluses, they have free Wi-Fi, and it's good Wi-Fi. They have soft drinks that are included. There's lots of pluses. That party's too much for us. But I remember the day. Okay, we won't go there. Let me go into Margaritaville. Margaritaville is the Jimmy Buffett Ship, and it's been many things, and I apologize that I got sidetracked or combined the two when I went to the 30-year thing. It is 30 years old. It is revitalized with a very industrial look. You know, there were some of the stage areas look like it's, you know, a pirate theme, but the major structures, there was a lot of steel, a lot of beams. What they didn't take off, they didn't take away any of the teak wood. So for you cruisers who have been cruising a very long time, it used to be you had teak wood on your balcony. It doesn't get as hot. It is, you can lean on it in the middle of the day, even when it's 90 degrees outside. It's just different. And there's teak wood on the balcony floors. Those have not been, I mean, I'm sure they've been refinished, but not replaced. And so there's a lot of traditional looks to this sailing. He said that there was not really an average, there were people of all ages. And the interesting part is they cruise from here to the Bahamas. You can stay in an all-inclusive when you get there for any number of nights. You can come back anytime you want, but they're allowing Bahamians to travel to the U.S. this way. There are a lot of people who don't fly. And if you wanted to go to a beautiful white sand beach and you didn't fly, this is one way that you could do it. For the 2-day sailing Tony just got off of, it was right at $600. The place that he stays at frequently on, you know, to do cruises was about $299 a night. And he said, so, you know, because I did put on very top line, hotels are so expensive. We are seeing huge increases. Airlines, huge increases. The only thing that has gone down significantly are cruises. So, I wanted to focus on these two because I had a lot of questions, and I promised when I found somebody who had been on it, I could give you some real inside information, I would share it. So they do free government tests work on cruise ships now. That's the big new change with testing. Federal testing has become easier. You'll find many places are not doing free COVID tests anymore. Well, unless you tell them that you've had a cold for a few days or a headache for a few days, it's not going to be free. Walgreens, CVS, not in our state yet. Or, well, I haven't had anybody who told me in our state yet. But in Florida, they are already starting to charge again. So the free tests that were given out by the government, and maybe you got some, you could get like 4 per person. Those are allowed now for cruising. You just have to use them with a telehealth company for them to be valid. Well, you have free testing. The telehealth company is charging you Hey, Angela, the telehealth company is charging you $15 to process it. And the other test kits that you do the same thing with, you like eMeds, you're still going to call somebody, get them online so that they can watch you take the test. So the difference is about half price for you to use government tests. And I mentioned that to one of my customers, and she said, "Oh yeah, now you can get even more." Well, some friends in my family say I'm not sticking anything like that up my nose because they're all generated and packaged and made in China. So it's up to you. But what I'm saying is now you can use the free test and use telehealth. It's called on point testing. On point testing. I can't do comments right now, but when I end this, I'll make sure I put that in. The Starlink Wi-Fi is the other big news. It's an Elon Musk project, and it looks like Royal Caribbean and Norwegian are going to do this. It is much faster. It's been much more stable. There are a lot of creators now who are sharing travel information, and when they go on cruises, they've got to buy the best package available just to be able to do work while they're on a ship. So this could be very helpful. We'll wait and see. But guys, so much is going on. Next year, here's the deal. Next year, we are going to do Scotland and Ireland. We're looking at May. We're just cannot. I want it to be around $3,300, and I'm having a hard time getting to that price point. So I'm still working on it. Tom Blackman. And let's see. And Michelle and Charles. So I'm still working on it. Sorry. Vacation. And then we had Trey's bridal shower yesterday for Trey and Maya. It was wonderful. Thank you to the many travel friends who came. That was so sweet. And you mean so much to me. For so many of you, I'm much more than just your favorite travel agent. We're friends. And actually, everybody who is on the list who has made a comment today, I count you in that close friends. Mary Beam, Ernest Easton, Lisa Thomas, Wanda Horner, and Angela Wilburn. Angela, I saw your Facebook post. That kid is cool. All right. I'm gonna check out because I'm way longer than I've ever been before. But I really wanted you to hear firsthand from Tim Peterson. And thank you for all the ones who came yesterday. What? I did, Mom. So I'm going to go. Reach out to me. There are some awesome deals out there for cruising. There's some Vegas packages that have run pretty good on Southwest. The charter flights out of Charlotte going to Dominican and Mexico, really good deals. $1,000, 6 nights, all inclusive with your airfare. That's a good thing. Got to get this wedding over. All right. Ciao. See you later. Thanks for showing up, and thanks for sticking with me. Bye.